We are going to wait until the notification goes on now. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the clock. Go time. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the clock. It is go time. Beautiful day. We are waiting for the notification to go on out. Beautiful day, everybody. Okay. It is raining here, guys. Okay. Hey, Cam. Hey, light within darkness, my love. All right, we're going to give it 2 more minutes, and then I am going to go heat my coffee up, and we're going to tap into this energy. It's cold. Yeah, Miss Kim, I don't think you're too far from me, because I'm in Georgia, and it is raining here too. And my son is just getting over a cold, so I think I got whatever bug he has. My voice hurts right now. I mean, not hurts, but I can definitely feel like I could probably get some rest. Okay, so these are the 2 decks that we tapping in today. All right. So just so you guys know, the energy in this planet have definitely shifted. Also, the energy on this channel has shifted, right? There's so many wonderful readers out there that you can get into, that can tap into what's going on in your love life, your relationship, and your career. But that is not what my goal is here. My goal here on this channel, hey, beautiful. I want to say LaShonda. If I'm just gonna call you Wonderful L or Wonderful Lash, because I don't want to mess your name up. Okay, welcome to the family. So here on this channel, we are strictly talking about what you need to do to tap into you. All right, because once you're tapped into you, once you're aware of what's going on within you, around you, then all the outer stuff and your relationship stuff, they tend to work themselves out because you know how to move energetically. Okay, so you're not really gonna find a lot of he said, she said, they did on my tarot pulls. Okay, I do have timeless content like that you can go back and look. Okay, because there's over 1,000 videos on this channel, so you can go back into my past videos and tap in there. Okay, if you need to. But I just want you guys to know this is strictly about how you can access your power moving forward. Okay, I remember now why I'm here. I remember the power that I'm walking with, and now I am moving in accordance. So I just want you guys to know we're not playing over here. It's about the work over here, okay? I'm teaching you how to understand energy. I'm teaching you how to remember, not even understand. I'm teaching you how to remember energy, how energy works, okay? I'm teaching you how to connect the allegories as well as the myths, as well as what's going on in the heavens, okay, and what's happening on the earth, all right? Now, I know there's a lot of, corruption and nastiness and evilness going on around the world, okay? And my job here is to hold space at a higher vibration so we can affect the world energetically, which is really how the world unfolds. Everything is energy, okay? So the world is not going to change by me going out and protesting. But because I walk in the power that I walk in, the world is going to change by me tapping into my power and then utilizing that power, okay? So that's how we're making changes here energetically. So just keep in mind, all right? The shift and the split that we've been talking about, or you hear people talking about on the internet, it's happened already, okay? And if you haven't checked out yesterday's video yet, you can go back and check that out, because I literally showed you the 2 different timelines and how the comets, 3-eye Atlas as well as A6 Lemon, is affecting us energetically. And I'm surprised because I hear a lot about Three-Eye Atlas, but not a lot of people are talking about A6 Lemon. And A6 Lemon comment is just as powerful as Three-Eye Atlas because that's activating the Sophionic grid line. Okay, so that's a grid line where empaths, so you can call mystics of prophets or masters. That is the grid line that you tap into. Okay, so this is a channel of remembrance. You are here to tap in to remember who you are. Okay, and I'm just here to help you to connect the dots. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna go on, and I'm gonna start off by clearing the energy. I need to clear my throat chakra, okay, and tap into the resonance. And bottom of the deck, just so you know, is alchemy as well as crop circles, okay. I have not shuffled yet. We are going to shuffle, but we're going to take the bottom of the deck energy. I shuffled last night with the intention of preparing to see what the energy was going to be today when I flip the cards over, okay? So let me just go ahead and clear my throat chakra. And keep it in mind, guys, this is just about me being able to tune in with the resonance, okay? So I'm clearing my throat chakra, and I'm clearing that field so the messages are coming through in this transmission clearly, coherently, with love, clarity, and truth, okay? That was better than yesterday. It's a little flat in the resonance today. I got a little bit more resonance in that one. That one was definitely flat. One more time. And that is what I'm looking for. I can literally feel the vibration going through the palm of my hands. That felt so good, y'all. That just sent a charge through me. And then one more. All right. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and take 3 deep breaths so we can let this information come in. First breath. Second breath. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 6. Breathe out for 4. One more time, breathe in 4. Hold for 6. And exhale 4 breaths. All right. Okay. So we've now tapped in. Okay. We are now on a clear channel. All right. Before I begin, I do want to tell you to take inventory of what's going on in your body right now or what's going on in your thoughts. Okay. So before we begin this transmission and this download of messages that's going to come into to you personally on your own level, just take a deep breath. Pay attention to what's going on in your body. Okay. If someplace aches, if someplace is a little tight, pay attention to the thoughts or the energy that's flowing in your thoughts. Also, pay attention to what's going on in your heart space, your emotions, okay? So, I am going to help you to remember how to reach subtle energies, not just in your body, but around you, okay? So, before we begin this transmission, I do want you to take a minute and pay attention to your body. All right, we're gonna feel where that tightness is. All right, so while you guys pay attention to your body, I'm finna go ahead and heat my coffee up so we can get started. Okay. Okay, everybody. All right. Have you taken inventory to what's going on in your body? All right, Miss Kim said I had a dream last night of myself and another moving energy walking in a room, and I have never met the others that was there. Miss Kim, you have met them. You know them energetically. You may not know them in a physical realm, but you do know them. So if you ever have to meet any one of them on a physical plane, you will recognize them by their energy. Okay. We're energetic beings, so you know people based on their energy, but we have not. We have been taught to dumb that part of ourselves down, right? Okay, so let me go ahead and get my disclaimer so we can jump into this message, all right? First and foremost, when I show up here and I hit this live button, my intention is to show up where I can be of help and guide to help you tap into all of you, okay? In these particular transmissions, we are dealing with your 12-strand DNA, the 12 zodiac wheel, the 12 disciplines, the 12 disciple, your 12 chakra systems, okay? These are all connected to your nervous system, all right? So in my time of remembrance, I have remembered why I'm here. I am here to show you how this all works, okay? So you can understand how you work, all right? And I am here to also help you to activate the parts in you that's been dormant for a really long time, all right? With that being said, these messages are not for everyone, okay? Because they're going to require you doing your work, whether it's emotional, mental, or physical work, okay? You're going to have to do some type of work, all right? So if you're not finna do your work, you can go ahead and click off this video right now because this is not going to serve you none, okay? That's first and foremost, all right? Next, you need to know that access is going to be granted to you based on your inner belief system or your inner knowing, which means if you don't think you got no powers, then you're not going to have access to your powers, okay? Which means if you don't think you can do something, you're not going to be able to do that thing. Which means if you're walking around thinking you sick, guess what? Sickness is going to be upon you, okay? So you need to know what you believe and what you know, okay? Those things are real, all right? Now keep in mind, truth does not need external validation, but it will produce external verification, all right? And truth does not deal in right or wrong. It only deals in the energy in which you are giving your attention to, okay? So we're going to start there, all right? Next, you need to know that energy is fluid. So I can say that this is your energy, but it feels more like the energy that you're interacting with. So you want to place the energy where it fits, okay? Last but not least, I am not your guru. I am not your savior, okay? I am only here to help guide you back to you, all right? So please, I'm telling you this now. The things that I am sharing with you and teaching you is things that I've had to walk through or experience myself, okay? Which means that in any given day, depending on how the energy rocks, I ain't Jesus. All right, so I'm walking through this thing just like you are. All right, I may be a little stronger in areas and a little bit more disciplined in areas because I've done the work, but I ain't your guru, okay? Which means a lot of this information and this knowledge that's ringing truth to you is from remembrance, okay? There's going to be information that's coming out in you and through you that you're not going to be able to find in books, boo-boo, okay? So the only way for you to verify this information that's going to be coming through you is by you sitting with what you call your guides, your ancestors, your higher self, okay? If you have guides from other planetary systems, other galaxies, all right? However you want to break it down, put it down, some of this information that's coming through you is not going to be written in books yet. Okay, but what you will find is verification coming in from other channelers, from other people that's out here to now help activate. Okay, so I want you to know that not because you can't find something that you're experiencing in a book or on a YouTube platform or on a channel does not mean that it is not real and it is not happening to you or it being experienced in your energetic vortex. Okay, so let's get that straight. All right. Now, I will say that there is a thin line between mysticism and insanity, so I'm just going to leave that there, all right? So some people can call me crazy and other people will call me a mystic, all right? Either which way, it's all good to me, all right? It's all good to me. We're really here to have fun discovering ourselves, okay? And to shed all of the love that we are finding from without, instead of seeking it externally, we can tap into it internally, and that's what's going to change the world, our light, our love. But you got to tap into your own light and love first, okay? Let's get started. All right, so just off the bat, I need you guys to know, hold on, let me put some lights on so I can actually read what these cards are saying. Okay, so right off the back we have alchemy. Alchemy is a number 8. You know, 8 has to do with new beginnings. All right. 8 also has to do with loops and cycles. Okay. If you look at the number 8, how everything, and let me also point this out, 8 is also feminine energy. Okay. So I'm giving you all of these clues so you can understand how energy works. Now, feminine energy is going to be intuitive energy, creative energy, imaginary. Okay. So anything that's dealing with your imagination or creativity, okay, or intuitiveness, that is going to be a spiritual number. Okay, this number operates in the soul plane. All right, so alchemy is showing up, and when alchemy shows up, this is to activate whatever magical abilities that's been dormant, okay, that you haven't remembered. This card is showing up and saying, remember all of the magic that you hold inside. Okay, I have been studying Ishtar Bintoff's work. He's a scientist from the 70s who died in a plane crash, okay? And a lot of his works and his experiments were being used by agencies. I'm just going to put it this way, different ABC agencies, okay? So one of his theories was really that consciousness have levels to it. And the way that you tap into these levels is through meditation. All right. So let me get rid of a myth of meditation here. You do not need to sit with your legs crossed and thinking that that's the only way for you to meditate. That is a lie. You're meditating all day, every day. Meditation simply means to mutter, to repeat. Okay. So the question to you is, are you doing mindful meditation where you're paying attention to the thoughts that you're repeating in your head? Or are you doing mindless meditation where the thoughts are just randomly coming and going and you're not tapping into what's being looped in your mind? You're not paying attention to what conversations you're having with yourself about yourself, or what conversations you're having with yourself about other people. Okay? So when alchemy shows up, alchemy is showing up to get you to remember who you are, that latent potential that you may not have tapped into, that ancient knowledge that's there for you to tap into, okay? And a true alchemist knows that it's not so much about changing the elements externally, it's about transmuting the elements internally. So when I'm talking about elements, I'm talking with transmuting your emotions and your thoughts. So when we're talking about spiritual alchemy, we're talking about transmuting energy, okay? And that's the overall energy. They want you to be mindful that this is a season to transmute energy. I also want to tap into the crop circles, okay? And when crop circles show up, crop circles are showing up to let you know this message is coming in. And some of you are just curious about certain things, right? I say go ahead and look it up. If you're being pulled to look up quantum physics, if you're being pulled to look up near-death experience, like whatever you're being drawn to in this season, that is your soul trying to remember some shit, okay? So you need to go on and you need to look this stuff up. And let me just say this for now. Anybody out here that's giving you knowledge, wisdom, okay, be aware of people that's regurgitated information. This is a season where you just can't be talking about this information. You need to be experiencing this shit and walking through this shit, okay? So, I'm going to need y'all to understand, okay, you are the alchemist, and the alchemy that you're using is not external for you changing base metal into gold. The base metal that you're changing into gold is internally, right? You're trying to do that internally so you can activate your pineal gland and step into what they would call the milk of land and honey. All right, so when you hear stuff like, Nirvana and the land of milk and honey and all of these things, they're not talking about external places. They're talking about these many dimensions within yourself that can fold into themselves and then expand, okay? Have you ever rubbed your eyes and saw these beautiful colors and shapes and images? Like a beautiful mandalas just folding and forming as you rub your eyes, all right? That is exactly the way that it looks when you start to go into realms and dimensions and stuff through meditation, or maybe through astral travel at first. So just know, it's not by coincidence when you close your eyes, you're seeing color. If you rub your eyes, you're seeing color and you're seeing patterns, okay? Everything is energy. Every word you breathe carries an energy signature and a tone. Every heartbeat sends out an energy signature and a tone, okay? So Pay attention to the messages. When crop circle pops up, crop circle is letting you know that there's signs coming in, there's message coming in. Pay attention also to your text messages and your emails. If you've been waiting for a particular notification or response from something, okay? Pay attention to that. Today's also Wednesday. Wednesday's ruled by Mercury, so we're talking about communication there, okay? So a lot of communication could be coming in. A lot of unexpected communications could be coming in here, or a lot of what we would call validation or verification could be coming in. That's the overall energy. And I also feel like that's just not from today. I feel like this is just where we are energetically, right? Energetically where we are is truth is coming out. Now, I want to say this. Keep in mind that your truth may not be subjected to somebody else's truth, okay? So I can say to you, like right now, it is 12:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I am. That's my truth. It's 12:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Somebody, let's say, in the islands, because I'm from the Caribbean, right? So in the Caribbean, it's going to be 1:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the truth is, they're about to go on 2 o'clock. I'm about to go on 1 o'clock. Who's lying? Am I lying because I said it's 6 minutes to 1? Or are they lying because they're saying it's 6 minutes to 2? Right? So I want you to understand truth is going to be subjective to each person, right? But universal truth does not change because they're energetic codes, they're sacred geometry, okay? So as far as universal codes is concerned, the codes are not going to change. Okay, the codes are not going to change. So you can think about it as like NBC, right? NBC and Fox Channel. If you're turning on Fox Channel here, let's say you got to turn to Channel 5 and NBC maybe Channel 4, right? So if I'm trying to tap into Fox, right, I can't turn on Channel 4 because I'm going to be getting NBC. I got to go to Channel 5 to get Fox, okay? So please know the station is not going to change necessarily, right? You got to you got to understand that within each level of things, there's going to be truth that okay, so how do I put this? It helped me to explain how they can understand this. All right. Okay, so this is how they're telling me to explain it to you, okay? They're saying if you look at a seed, all right, let's take an apple seed, for example, right? An apple seed, if you look at an apple seed, can appear to be just like a brown seed, right? Just like a black apple seed. What I got here, okay? So we're going to take this and say maybe this is an apple seed, all right? Let's take this and say maybe this is the apple seed, okay? So now if you're looking at this seed, you don't see apples, right? You're not seeing apples from the seed. If you're looking at the seed, you don't see apples. You don't even see roots. You don't even see leaves, right? So to some people, right, although the truth is this is an apple seed that can produce apple, to some people this is not true because there's no apple tree. So you can't really say this is an apple tree because it has not been put in the ground yet, planted and sprouted up, right? So some people only see the seed, right, which is you can't really see all of the talent, you can't really see all of your powers, you can't really see all of your magic because it's encased in the shell, right? But once you plant this apple seed in the ground and it takes root, aka once you remember who you are and it takes root, you then start to produce, whether it's stems, you then pop up out of the darkness, which is the dirt, and you then start to produce the leaves, and you then start to get stronger and stronger until you bear fruit. That's what's happening right now. It's a season of remembering, right? So we've been in this position for so long where we are trapped, and not even trapped, but we've been locked in the seed for so long that we're now starting to remember and take root, okay? Some people are still stuck in the seed form. Some of us has already taken root and been planted in knowledge, wisdom, intuition, okay? Experiences, like however you want to label it, you are no longer encased in the seed form. You've now sprung out of the seed form and you've taken root, okay? So even if you look at my plant here. So some of us, your roots have grown out, okay? Your roots are grown out. You're not solid yet, but your roots are grown out. That's you reconnecting to whether it's your ancient lineage or whether it's just you connected to your body. It don't matter, okay? Depending on what your experience is here for, is depending how your activation or your remembrance is going to unfold, okay? So overall energy, especially if we're dealing with this 3-eye atlas and this A6 lemon energy, they are energizing the grid lines, and not just in your body but all over the earth, okay? Because this energy is coming not just for us physically, but this is also activating the earth. We're on a higher octave, okay? We've jumped an octave, what they've called in dimensions, okay, or what we're calling dimension is really an octave, a higher octave of sound. All right, and sound produces light, so it's a higher octave of sound, aka light, okay? You're also going to see in this quasi era, you're going to find that a lot of the sciences as we know it is going to be expanded, all right? Right now they're measuring matter, they're measuring light, okay? We're going to see science move into a space where they begin to measure sound, because sound is where everything stems from, all right? So they talk about what's faster than the speed of light. Sound is faster than the speed of light, okay? Sound is faster than the speed of light. This is why your words will not be returned to you void, okay? Your words are sound-coded vibrations that interface with the universe, okay? This is why in any of your sacred books, they tell you to do what? Speak of the things that are kind, loving, and good, because they understand, right? Nothing returns void to you in this paradigm. Like I keep telling y'all, you can't call out from sick. You can't call out sick from work, right? And then not think that you're not going to experience some type of tickled throat or a sneeze or something 3 days later, okay? So if you call out from work and you're pretending to be sick, please know that you put out into the ethers, okay? And you've tapped into a frequency resonance that can give you a cold. That's how this works, okay? So don't, you know, if you're going to call out sick, chuck it up to you needing a mental day. Don't fake sick. Just, you know, don't put an illness on yourself. Okay? Ooh, the tantric journey. Ha. And we got the shadow self. Oh, shit. Okay. Bottom of the deck, we also have the sacral chakra. Let's get into this. Okay. Bottom of this deck, we got the Vistica. Yeah. Pestisk. That looks like an eye. Okay. All right, so shadow self. I don't even know if I really need to explain shadow self to you so much. Okay. Shadow self is where you do your work. Shadow self is where you stop looking outside of yourself. This is where you're vetting things. Remember, we talked about the vetting system, right? Are you operating in victimhood or are you operating in victory? Like what part of the scale or the spectrum you coming from, right? Because it can't always be everybody's fault, right? It can't always be everybody's fault. And then my question is, when do we take accountability maybe for the part that we play in things? Because that's what's happening now. You're going to have to take accountability for the part you play in things, right? So let me tell you how this plays out. I worked in an industry one time, and I was a assistant for a well-known famous person. Okay, and I'm just gonna say, you know, in the industry, there's sex, drugs, and there's rock and roll, but predominantly a lot of sex. Okay, men cheat in the industry. Okay. And I'm just gonna tell you this. A lot of that is just an energy archetype that's on the entertainment umbrella. Okay, so that's just, I want to say, a cloaking of how that energy in the entertainment field operates. Okay, that's one of the cloakings there. Okay, or one of the codes. Call it what you want, right? So men cheat. People cheat in that industry, and it's not uncommon for people to cheat. Okay. So I was working for this, pretty well-known person, and their partner, I can tell immediately, they had a problem with anybody that was close to this person, right? And I could have made it my issue, but I didn't because I knew enough to know that they weren't so much upset at me, but their partner had situations where they were not truthful, and some cheating was going on. And in the industry, you see a lot of things. Now, one of my jobs was to lie for this person. That was one of my jobs. One of my jobs was I literally had to lie for this person. And when I say lie, like two different calendars. I'm going to put on this calendar that you're going to this event, but really your real calendar, you're going to this event, right? Just depending on how they needed to move, okay? Now, I remember that there was this one big blow up of me and their partner, were going back at it, which is really what cost me my job because of what I said. What I said to this person. And I'm not going to tell you what I said to this person because if anybody from my past is playing back there, yeah, we just don't want that. So when I said what I said to this person, which was really said in truth, okay, well, I can't tell you what this person said to me. This person said to me that I was trying to ruin their life. Okay, there was a scheduling issue, and I was doing what my boss told me to do. But of course, they were not aware of that because the boss lied to them, right? And in this particular situation, I was told that I was trying to ruin this person's life, purposely. And I wasn't. The interesting thing about it, I was always trying to protect them, right? Because I'm an empath and I don't like the lies. And, so I was always trying to protect them the best that I possibly can, but never trying to ruin their life. But I got accused for trying to ruin this person's life, okay? I'm not going to go into the details of what my response was, but I will say this part. I had to remind them, you know who your man is. Why would I want to ruin your life? And you already know who your man is. Okay? She was not dealing with her shadow self. She was projecting on me, right? The stuff that she needed to face, she needed to deal with that she wasn't dealing with, right? Because she knew her man. Didn't nobody have to tell her man was a liar. Didn't nobody have to tell her man was a cheater, right? She knew that because you met him in that environment, right? You met him in that environment. You met him doing the same thing that you accusing him of, right? So, needless to say, she was not doing her work. She was projecting it on me. When you're dealing with shadow self energy, you're dealing with you not owning your shit. Or I can honestly say you could be around people that's not owning their shit, that's constantly projecting their shit on you. Okay? Now, let me tell you what part of the body this is going to hit. This is going to hit your solar plexus and your sacral chakra, okay? So this is where you can feel anxiety in your stomach, butterflies, tightness. You can even feel like you can't breathe properly, right? So a lot of what's showing up here in the shadow energy, you're going to find it in your three lower chakras. So your sacral chakra, which deals with relationship, change that needs to happen in those relationships and the emotions around those relationships, right? You're going to find it in your solar plexus. That's where your confidence, your willpower, your determination comes in. And you're also going to find it in your root chakra because that's where your flight of mode is, family, money, right? So shadow work is really going to be about you balancing your three lower chakras. You cannot deny the truth that's coming up within you right now, whether that's you misjudged the situation, whether that's you need to give an apology, whether that's you need to love yourself more, whether that's that shame and that guilt about what happened 2, 3, 4 years ago, whatever that is, you are going to be responsible for dealing with your own shit. This is not a season where you can project your stuff onto other people, okay? And part of you being activated, especially with these comments that's here, you're going to have to activate from a place of truth. Ain't no more denying who you are. Ain't no more hiding who you are. Ain't no more seeing yourself as little. Ain't no more holding on to people's shit. So what, you made a mistake. So what, you did that and you feel guilty about that, right? You can fix that guilt internally, okay? Sometimes you do things at 23 that you wouldn't do at 33 or 43 because you know better, right? So the same grace that you have given and extended to people in their journey and in their path, give that to yourself. You're going to have to do your work. You're going to have to get rid of the shame. All right. So what if they rejected you? Sometimes rejection is for your protection, right? Go within and see the fragmented parts of yourself that's trying to keep you hostage. Go within yourself and see the fragmented parts of yourself that people try to keep you hostage in, right? So let me tell you how this is playing out. If you're in a relationship and somebody cheated on you or you cheated on them and they say they're going to forgive you, right? There are two things that needs to happen. One, the person that did the cheating needs to understand that you're going to have to give that person that was cheated on some space and some time. Because there's some PSD that comes along with that. There's some PTSD that comes along with that, right? So there's going to be flashbacks of you not answering your phone and what that felt like and what you was doing. So you're going to have to give the person that's forgiving you and giving you another chance, you're going to have to give them time and space. And let me just say that time and space may not necessarily be a week or two, because what I have found is sometimes the person that does the cheating wants you to get over it quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it don't work like that. Okay? It don't work like that. You're going to have to give them some space and some time. All right? Now, if you're the one in the relationship that's doing the forgiving, guess what? You don't get to fucking hold that person hostage. You don't. You don't get to hold that person hostage. You should be working through your shit. You do not get to hold them hostage, because that means that you're not doing your work. You confront the feelings as they come up, right? But you can't go back and unfuck something. You can't unfuck what you already fucked. It don't work like that. So the person that does the betrayal or did the damage in breaking down the foundation of the relationship, you need to give the other person time. And the person who says, yes, I'm going to forgive you, you need not to keep throwing shit in that person's face, right? And you need to own the space that's needed for you to heal. But you can't keep throwing guilt and shame on the person that you said you forgave. You can't do that. If you say you've forgiven somebody, then guess what? I'm not saying forget, but you can't keep throwing up the same shit in their face. You can't keep going back to the same place every time they may do something, right, that may feel like a little ouch. Every time you go back to that place of the original hurt, you're fueling it. You're fueling it. And it's not that you can't go back there, but you need to go back there with love. You need to go back there and ask myself, why did this hurt so much? What part of me needs healing so I don't attract this type of experiences anymore? Go within yourself. Go within yourself. I promise you, once you start doing your shadow work, man, can't nobody hold you victim. Can't nobody hold you hostage once you start doing your shadow work. Can't nobody hold you hostage, because you start to see you, flaws and all. And it is in your imperfection that you find your perfection. It's in your imperfection that you find your perfection. It is within your mistakes. It's within your fears. So if you can get through and get past your insecurities and your fears, you will find so much beautiful things about yourself. The kingdom of heaven is within you. All that you seek is within you. All of these scientists now, especially that studying sound and not light, any scientist right now that's studying quantum physics is studying sound. They're not studying light. They may think they're studying light, but they're not. They're studying sound. What's your sound? What have you been projecting out into the ethers that's being rippled back to you? If you drop a pedal in water, it's going to send out a wave of resonance. And that wave of resonance is going to bounce back to its original source. So my question to you is, my love, right? In this energy, what are you projecting back to yourself that is not true anymore? What guilt, what shame, what denial, what are you withholding from yourself that you're giving to other people? This is how you start to look at this, because if you can find your patterns, you can heal yourself and you can remember. This whole shit is about remembering. When they talk about ascension, the ascension process is really the process of remembrance, remembering who you are. When they talk about the fall, you fall, that fall is called a hero's descent. Look them up. Get comfortable with what these things mean, because you're going through that every day, all day. You're going through either the hero's descent or you're going through the ascension process, which is the process of remembering. They give us all these big terminologies and all of these in-depth shit when we could just break this down to basic stuff so we can understand and move forward in reclaiming our truth and remembering who we are. Now let's go over here to tantric journey. And you know what was popping up in my head like a couple weeks ago? And y'all gonna have to excuse me because one of my dominant archetypes that I move in this realm with is Scorpio. So, you know, everything first goes through like a sexual breakdown, right? So, tantric sex is something that you can unlock other levels. Okay, with the right person, there's other levels and other dimensions that you can unlock with tantric sex. I'm going to put that out there. So just know that when you're having sex with somebody, you're not just having intercourse. You know, you're not just creating babies. You're opening portals and doorways and shit. Okay, all right. It's called sexual magic, people. So it matters who you fucking. It matters, you know, who you making love to, because making love and fucking is two different things. I'm just saying. Okay. All right, so the tantric journey says, the frequency of tantric journey helps us to unlock the hidden knowledge and the wisdom that we have intrinsically held about how to reach the state of wholeness and completion through our sensational experiences and with ourselves and with others. Okay, so this is telling you, pay attention to the subtle energies. Pay attention to the subtle energies. Do you know that you can stand next to someone in the supermarket, right? You can stand next to someone in the supermarket, and if they get into your vortex field, it feels icky, and you can just read that person's energy by them stepping into your vortex field. Like, it just feels icky. And then you can stand next to somebody, and then their energy just feels so light and loving. Like, I was in line at Starbucks a couple of months ago, and this beautiful soul, her eyes were blue. She had blue eyes, these piercing blue eyes. And as she stood next to me, I had to turn around. I was like, oh my God, your energy is amazing. I'm like, can I give you a hug? I said, your energy, I said, you're vibrating in such a beautiful way. And she just lit up. And she's like, oh my God, you know? And she has been working on that light. She has been meditating and sitting in love and stillness and all of that. And I can feel it just bouncing off of her soul, just standing next to me in line. That's part of the tantric journey. You're able to communicate with people not just by words, but just by feeling. Just by feeling. You're able to walk into a room and you're able to change the resonance of that room just by you knowing who you are. You're able to walk into a room and vibe out if there was some bullshit going on in the room, if an argument was going on in the room. You're able to do these things. It's just about remembering. That's all. You just got to remember. You just got to remember. Life is not about beating up on yourself. Life is not even about, giving other people passes so they can walk all over you. Life is really about you remembering who you are. Because when you begin to remember who you are, you realize nobody has the power over you. Not a governmental structure, not a religious structure, not a relationship structure, right? Not a scholarly structure. No structures that are in place here to keep what we would call chaos and order running has the power to keep you bound. No system. No system has the power to keep you bound unless you give it that power, unless you give your power away. And we've been giving our power away for a long time because we've been taught some things that are not true. We've been given half of the truth, right? They teach us about the squares, the triangles, the polygons in school, but they don't tell us that those are sacred geometry, right? So they could teach us about these geometries, right? But they're not explaining to you that these shapes are sacred geometry, and they have a purpose and they have a meaning. And that everything vibrates in geometry code. Do you know that? Do you know that your words send out sacred geometry? Do you know that your heartbeat sends out a frequency in sacred geometry? Do you know that? That's why you can drop a petal in a water and it sends out waves. Do you know your thought sends out sacred geometry? Did you know that? So what's sacred geometry that's distorted that you're sending out because you have yourself stuck behind this mirror because you're not giving yourself either the forgiveness, you have somebody have you stuck in guilt and shame for something that you did that you've already apologized for 1,000 times. Now here's the thing. Let me just also tell you how this worked too. You know how I tell you guys that you cannot judge anybody on their journey, right? You can start off at level 1 with somebody and pass them, and now you're at level 5 and they're still in level 3. But now you're at level 7 and they meet you at level 7, but you stuck, and now they elevated all the way to level 12 because everything that they needed that you bypassed in level 3, they had to redo some shit in level 3. And not only did they have to redo some shit in level 3 and learn the lessons that they needed to learn, they also understood forgiveness and love in level 3. Right? So you out here holding on to some shit for, to somebody, thinking that the world of karma and the tower card is going to come down on their head. But if they really go to source, the same source that you can go to and tap into the same shit that we're talking about, guess what? All that shit that you've been holding on to, all of that resentment, all of that shit don't mean shit because they can elevate and move up higher. Once they tap into the truth of who they are, your resentment, your shame, your projection don't mean shit to that other soul if they figured out the code. Let me say that again. The reason why you forgive somebody, it is not so they can get away with something. It is so that you can have access to deeper levels of yourself and where you're not stuck. This is a game of energy, y'all. If you go back to science and what science is saying now, science is telling you now it's its core, everything vibrates. Nothing is really solid. This table is not solid. This cards are not solid. Nothing is really solid. At its micro level, everything vibrates. So if everything vibrates and everything is energy, and we're talking about everything, from the trees to this glass table to my wand, to the stones and the crystals in my wand, everything vibrates. Everything have an energy signature. Everything. How about you figure out and learn what your energy signature is so you can navigate this realm better? How about you sit and you distinguish between the different types of energies so you can navigate better? How about you stop blaming other people for the energies that you're entertaining and learn how to decipher the energy so you can navigate and move through this experience with ease? How about that? How about that? I don't think that's a bad thing, right? It's just being honest with yourself. Honesty is the best thing. Okay, yeah, I do feel some type of resentment towards this situation because this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened, that happened, and then they had the audacity to do this. So this is why I feel some resentment. Once you can get to that part of why you feel the resentment, then you can start to unpack why you don't have to be resentful. You can start to find the lessons in there. You can start to find maybe the parts of you that you did not embrace, you did not love, right? Because I keep telling you, it is not anymore that the little child in you needs protection. The little girl, little boy, you don't need protection anymore. What the little girl and the little boy needs now is love. You're an adult now. You're old enough to protect now, so they don't need your protection. They need your love. That little boy or girl in you needs love. They need to be seen. So stop seeking outside of yourself for other people to see you and see yourself and activate all of this wonderful shit you got going on inside of you. Activate. Listen, y'all. First of all, there is so much wisdom and knowledge out here for you to tap into. There's so much channelers coming out now. And some of you are going to be hearing channel messages. Some of them are going to be tuned to the same frequency and some of them are not. And the reason for that is because we are not all going to the same place. The one core message that's going to be truthful amongst all the channelers that's bringing through messages from different realms, different galaxies, and different planetary systems, all right? The one core message is unity consciousness and love. That's the one core message, okay? So all of the other messages may be different, slightly different, because we're going to different places. But the one core message from anybody channeling from this beautiful energy that's coming in, if you really channel, the one core message is going to be unity consciousness, no fucking division. If you are teaching division out here in these motherfucking streets, you have not tapped in to the highest vibration yet. You're still in the bottom chakras. You have not popped out of the crown chakra yet into that 10th, into that 11th gate or that 11th portal. If you are out here teaching division, that is not the vibration you need to be on. You can teach difference because there's differences. So you can teach differences, right? But you don't have to teach division because the division is going to happen naturally, right? Remember I told you yesterday we're operating in two different timelines, so you don't have to try to be divisive at all. It's just going to happen organically. It's like fall time coming in and the leaves fall off the trees naturally, and you don't have to go outside and pluck each dead leaf off of a tree. You don't got to do that, right? That just happens naturally. It's the same thing in this process. So friendships, okay? Hey, Taj. Friendships, right, that are not supposed to be in your new timeline, they're going to dissolve. You're not going to have to tell those friends bye. It may not even be a big blow up. You can just find that you drift apart, right? You can just find that you drift apart. The things that are now passionate to you, like you're now thinking about energy and the ethers, and they still stuck on, let's say, the housewife of Orange County or something. And ain't nothing wrong with that, because you can find out a lot about people's psyche watching those shows, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But you over here watching quantum physics and they over there watching the Real Housewives, right? Do you see the difference? And like I said, ain't nothing wrong with either of those things. But you just not vibrating on that particular frequency anymore, right? So don't hold on to things or people that's now energetically fizzling out of your experience. Don't try to do that. Don't hold yourself hostage or hold anyone hostage because you have not told yourself the truth. One second, y'all. Hello, sweetie. You made it?
Yeah, I made it. I can't hear you.
Oh, you can?
No, I can't.
Okay. Hey, Kia. Can you hear me now? I'm live, baby, but I'm glad you got there. Mommy loves you. I'm gonna jump now, okay? All right. Let me know when you're on your way home. All right. Bye, baby. Sorry, y'all. That's my son. Okay. So, frequency, honing in. You cannot hold people hostage. You cannot allow people to keep you hostage. It's time to do your work. Okay? Your tantric journey says it is time for you to remember who you are. Do you know that you can just touch people? You can just take your hand and run it down somebody's shoulder and send so much charged energy. So much charged energy. Now, this is what I would like for you to do. I would like for you to please take inventory of your body. We're going to do a check-in again. If you were here at the beginning of the video, I would like you to go ahead and do an energy check-in to see energetically what part of your body is speaking to you. Tap in and see what part of your body is speaking to you. When I tapped in earlier, the part of my body was speaking to me is my heart chakra. My left side of my body and my right side of my body is connecting, so I can feel a tug more on my bottom abdomen. And when I pay attention to where that energy is shooting up to, is shooting up to my chest cavity. And then it's shooting up to my throat chakra. So I know right now that there's some energy being diverted from my root chakra then shooting up to my heart chakra, and then shooting up to my throat chakra. So this is where I find my energies pulsating from. So you want to go ahead and you want to tap into where your energy's pulsating from, so your body can begin to tell you what it needs. Okay. Now, we have energy here connecting us to the Atlantean energy. Okay, so this energy is connected to Atlantean and Lemurian energy. Okay, and I just want to say this. Okay, remnants of that Atlantean energy is surfacing now, because it's all, you can think about, okay, boom, okay, this is how they're telling me to explain it to you. You can think about this as how culture evolves. Okay, so if you're looking about when we were younger, the music that we listened to, the clothes that we listened to, right? And how every generation, the music and the clothes has changed, and how some of the music and the clothes, circle back, whether it's in samples or they just revamp old things, right? A lot of this energy that we're tapping into is ancient energy. It is not new energy, it's very ancient energy. And let me also just say this, right? Atlantis is not, the remnants of Atlantis is not just here on Earth, okay? So they're never going to be able to find all of Atlantis, or the remnants of Atlantis, because it included other solar systems, other planets, okay? There was once a time that we can travel between planets. There was interstellar travel. All right, we once had access to interstellar travel, and you need to know Atlantis is not just on Earth. It was makeup of being able to travel interdimensionally, travel between planets. So once that was destroyed, you no longer have access to to travel between planets. Okay. Now let me just tell y'all something. Okay. Do you know how much you can find out about your past history if you get quiet enough and listen? Like, they want to come in and tell you these things. Like, this shit is in your DNA. All right, the Gorithans, or like I said, they're remnants of the Atlanteans and the Lemurian heritage, okay? You need to know when this card shows up, this is just tapping us in that there's multidimensional levels of perception that you can touch into. It's about you attuning to the energies that you cannot see. Not just the energies that you can see, but they also want you to pay attention to the energies that you cannot see. This card represents synchronicities, so you also want to pay attention to synchronicities. Or you see the same number pop up over and over again. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I'm like, oh, you got triple ones like me? I'm a triple one. I got 3 ones in my birthday, so I'm a triple one. And people with triple ones in their birthday tend to be talkative. So they fit well in settings where they gotta use their voice, okay? This can be very talkative energy. But also with triple ones, right, you can find that you over-explain yourself too much, right? Or you always feel like everybody needs all of the details, right? So there needs to be a balance there, right? So they're saying pay attention to the synchronicities, not just numerology, but also a phone call, or something, an idea that pops up right when you had a thought, or you were thinking about it a week ago, a day ago. Pay attention to the synchronicities. You also want to pay attention here to manifestation. And I want to say this because a lot of people think when we talk about manifestation, we're talking about just manifesting good things. That's bullshit. You can manifest bad things, or what you call bad things, right? You can manifest things or experience that you don't really care for, right? Remember, part of manifestation goes back into meditation. And what did I tell you at the beginning of the video? You meditate all day, every day. Meditation means to mutter, to repeat. The question is, what are you meditating on? What are you muttering on? What are you repeating all day? What loops are going on in your head? Okay? So this energy also rules manifestation. So manifestation is happening. The question is, what are you manifesting in your experience? Okay? This is also representation of your imagination, ascension consciousness, right? Or the ascended consciousness. And remember what I told you about ascension. Ascension is another word for remembering. Okay, so when you hear ascension, that also means remembering. Okay, so this energy is saying it's a season of remembering. This energy also asks you to choose healthily for your lifestyle. What works for you, what doesn't. What things in your body saying that you can no longer eat or digest that you need to change, okay? For me, it's rice. I can't eat rice and potatoes the way that I used to. They just sit on my chest. I don't feel good, you know. I don't like the way they make me feel. So it's not something I necessarily really wanted to take out of my diet because I'm Caribbean, right? So I didn't want to take rice out of my diet, but my body just told me we can't do this no more. So I can't have rice every day. Okay, and then when I do tend to have it, I can only have a little portion, maybe a little spoonful, right? So your nutrition and what your body needs is going to be important as we're transmuting this energy and you're tapping in to your nervous system and your 12-strand DNA. Okay, now you also need to know that this energy also deals with crystal energy. So if you have any crystals, if you have any meditations, all right, because you also have crystals in your body, all right. If you have any meditations, you can work on your meditations, especially any meditations that's doing any type of crystalline work in your body, or if you're dealing with any type of crystals, okay, just know that your crystals can definitely give you messages if you're tapping in, all right. If you don't believe me, go research crystals and how they store memory. Remember, you are your own gurus. If none of this stuff resonates with you, and you don't, you go do your research. It says study to show thyself approved. You're gonna study to show me. Study to show yourself. Okay. You also need to know that this energy right here is also connected to your astral body, so your emotional body, which means that you have to be able to read energy without physically seeing it or physically touching it. All right. And last but not least, and this is where we're going to end. This energy is all about living in your truth. All right. So it's really saying when you begin your tantric journey and you're tapping into who you truly are, flaws and all, mistakes and all, right? You get to a place where you can integrate everything and really start walking in your truth, right? Synchronicities come alive, manifestation begins to happen at a more wonderful and beautiful level. You're just not manifesting chaos, right? You're starting to remember things. You're getting downloads or uploads. I like to call them, you're getting like shots of remembrance, because what we call downloads or uploads is really just you remembering. That's parts of you waking up, right? That is parts of you waking up. All right, so 3-Eye Atlas and A6 Lemon, like I said yesterday in the video, it is helping to access and activate DNA encoding within our body, okay? You do not believe me, go look this shit up in science, okay? So the sun is now hitting these comets, and as the sun hits these comets, they're producing what is called cosmic dust. The cosmic dust is coming out into the ethers, and you are breathing in that cosmic dust, which is now bringing what you would call your latent, or what they like to call junk DNA is now coming online, all right? I also want to say pay attention to the subtle changes in your universe, okay, or your surroundings. You may see things appearing that was not there before. You may see things disappear that was there before, okay? So there's going to be some form of Mandela effect as these comments are in our vortex, okay, or our, what do they call it? Solar system or galactic field or whatever they call that. Okay, I can't remember. I'm not a geophysicist, okay? But as these two comments are in our orbit, you're also going to find that there's going to be ripples of what we call Mandela effects, okay? So just pay attention to that. You know, you're not crazy. All right, so and how this is going to happen, just subtly, you know, like you'll be driving past someplace that you've been driving for the past 10 years, and then all of a sudden, you know, you notice that the sign in the door got an extra S or something, and, you know, and somebody's going to say, that's been there all the time, and you can swear, no, that was not there all the time, all right? You're not crazy. There's subtle effects changing in the atmosphere, okay? So there's subtle Mandela effects happening, very slight changes to the timeline, all right? That's being affected. by these two comments. So the best way I can tell you to do is you might want to start journaling things down just so you can verify things for yourself, okay? Because people that are not on the timeline, people that are not on the ancient timeline but are still in the Gregorian calendar timeline are going to have a difficult time seeing these things, okay? Their mind is going through there's a word for that. Cognitive dissonance, I think it's called, right? So a lot of people are going through cognitive dissonance, right? But those of you that are tuned in and tapped in, you'll be able to see the subtle changes. And I would really like to hear if any of y'all see anything happening in your atmosphere. I can tell you, like last week sometime, my son and I drove by a Walgreens in the neighborhood. And I've been driving by that Walgreens for 8 years. As long as I've been in Georgia, I've been driving by that Walgreens, okay? And we noticed last week that there was a different entrance coming out of the Walgreens. So I said to my son, I'm like, can you exit out of that? And he was like, no, Mom, I don't think so because we couldn't exit before. I said, no, Mom, I don't think there's an exit there. Now, mind you, 8 years we've been driving by this Walgreens, okay? As we passed the spot where I'm seeing that clearly there could possibly be an exit there was an exit there. That exit had not been there. I promise you. We drove by that shit for 8 years. My son was even like, no, Mom. He was like, well, Mom, maybe we just didn't notice it. So you're trying to tell me 8 years I'm driving through the same spot and I didn't notice that? 8 years. We drive by here all the time every day. So I'm just saying to you, just pay attention to subtle changes, okay? Little things, like the doorknob used to be in the right, now it's on the left, just little, because it's going to be slight. And if you don't know about the Mandela effect, go look it up, right? But you're going to find like different phases of the Mandela effect is slightly happening as these comets get closer and closer to the sun, okay? Yeah. All right, y'all. My throat is starting to hurt, y'all. I know I told y'all I done got something from my son. I hope this information was helpful, y'all. I really hope it was helpful. My job here is to help you to remember who you are, okay? And also, if you need a personal session with me, I am available to do so, okay? I am going to be doing like 1 question on the live where you could just do a small donation to Cash App, and we can do like a 1 or 2 card small donation pool for you. But if you want to schedule an appointment to go in depth, you can also do so, okay? And I can tell you right now, anybody that has had a reading from me, I am very thorough in the way that I do my sessions, okay? So you're not going to leave the same way that you come in. You're going to leave with more information and knowledge, not just about your situation, but about yourself, okay? So you need to know that. So I think that's a transmission for today, guys. It's activation time. Stop pretending. Just start remembering. Stop fucking pretending to be somebody that you're not. Right? So you're pretending to be the fake person that you're not, but the real person that's awesome, that's dynamic, that got all these gifts and these powers, why would you not want to be the real you? Why would you not want to be the real you? Shit, I want to be the real me. I'm tired. I'm tired of just, showing up so other people can feel good about themselves. No. I'm tired of directing my energy to people that don't understand what love is, right? I can give my energy to you, but on a different level. I don't have to have you in my immediate vortex where you're siphoning my energy and it's not reciprocal, right? So stop pretending. You don't got to pretend no more. I see you. You don't got to pretend no more. I see you. I remember you. You that awesome star traveling soul that you don't remember? We made this appointment. Y'all don't remember? We set this up so we can meet here at this time so we can remember. Okay? All right, soul family. I appreciate it. I love y'all. Y'all know the deal, right? Y'all gonna go ahead and do something kind for yourself today because you should, and it's raining out, so go ahead, okay? Do something kind for yourself because you should. You also want to do something kind for somebody else, not because they deserve it, right? But because you can. And joy is contagious. Bliss is contagious. Confidence is contagious. Happiness is contagious, right? And we got a world full of a lot of lower vibrational things happening. So why not be that positive vibration in the world, right? Be that light, not just for yourself, right? And you're not showing up for another person to have them siphon your light, but you're being that light because that's just who you are. It's time for you to remember. All right. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Okay. Kelly Kells and I were supposed to get on last night. That is not her. That is me, y'all. Okay, so I do apologize for that. Everything is going to happen in divine timing. I am on this new cycle where I'm not so fixed. I'm allowing energy to flow where it needs to flow. So do the same thing, all right? Don't try to get so rigid and commit yourself to things that no longer serve your greatest and highest good. And on that note, my loves, I appreciate each and every one of you. I will be back here tomorrow. Oh, and I'm also going to start posting things up on Instagram and TikTok again. All right. So just give me, by next week, you're going to start seeing things up on TikTok and Instagram. I'm putting some things together behind the scenes. All right. So I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful, amazing day. Don't forget who you are. Okay. Don't forget who you are. You are awesome. And you are loved. Sending you waves of love and energy. Okay. Transmission is over. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.